Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on the companies we mention. Please do your own research.
Welcome. Monday, the 15th of December, just 10 days before Christmas Day. And here we are. Welcome to Monday Upbeat Markets. Unfortunately, Graham's not with us today. He's had some very sad news about his mother, and he's not able to record with me today. So I'm going to carry on. So unfortunately, you've just got me today. He is part of the interview, but that's going to come to you shortly. Okay. So what happened over the weekend? Well, let's just talk about football briefly. Arsenal threw it away and then scored in the very last minute in injury time. I have to say, I was pretty excited when good old Wolves scored, because they sat back, let them come at them, and they nearly choked, but they didn't. Manchester City had a great win. Liverpool had a good win as well. The Mackems did the Geordies. Everybody knows what that means, I would hope. And it's hotting up there. We've got Arsenal, Manchester City and Villa riding high, followed by a group of others. Manchester United are playing tonight, so we'll see how that all gets on. Anyway, without further ado, let's go straight into our first guest today.
I would like to welcome Michael Jones of Delta Gold Technologies. Michael, welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. Can you just give us a brief introduction to Delta Gold Technologies, please?
Sure. Delta Gold Technologies, just newly public company, just listed about a week ago. Our focus is on quantum computing technology. We're partnered with the University of Toronto, and we have a very innovative piece of intellectual property which we're pursuing towards patents and licensing.
And by the way, what a tremendous start to an IPO. Textbook IPO. If only all IPOs could be like this.
Well, great shareholders, so what can we say?
Michael, just before we delve in a little bit deeper, can you tell me a bit about your history, please?
Yes, I'm a geological engineer, actually, by background. Importantly, I went to University of Toronto, which is where our partner is for Delta Gold Technologies. And I've founded a number of companies in mining, oil and gas, and technology. I've actually founded a technology company which did exactly the path we're following on Delta, to license and pursue intellectual property in partnership with the university. And that was an interesting joint venture with Anglo-American that many of our British listeners will know. And we took that all the way to commercialization through the patenting process and so on. So I've seen the effectiveness of university partnerships and how much power that can bring to an intellectual idea.
How you doing, Michael? Is it good?
Well, thanks. I'm in Paris this morning.
Yeah, I understood that. And I now know what the R stands for as well. I think you should tell us that story because it was very funny.
Oh, yes. Well, there's too many Michael Joneses in the world, first of all. So the R helps make me, which is the point of your name, really, is to distinguish you. But also there's many Michael Joneses in the capital markets business. And one of them was another Michael Jones. And he got a phone call to his hotel room late at night in a emergency situation by my wife, and his wife answered. So you can imagine that didn't go very well. So it's to distinguish me as me, but also my mother didn't like Richard, my first name, so I went by my middle name. So there you go.
Very good. So we should be calling you, what is it, Dickie Jones?
Oh, that's what my father went by, is by Dick Jones. You got that very well. My father was that. But interestingly, my family history plays a part in our story here, in that I've actually had someone from my family at University of Toronto for 120 years. So my grandfather went there, my father went there, I went there, and my daughter just finished her degree there in math and economics. So wow. We have a 120-year history with the University of Toronto. So I feel some definite kinship to the place.
So they owe you one. Okay, so I mean, I've known you now for 7 or 8 months, I think, when first Oliver Friesen came to me and said, we've got this idea about quantum computing, even though the gold was in the name. And obviously very interesting to understand what's going on. And from that, we've tied up Toronto University. So just explain to people how that's going to work and what benefit do we get as Delta Gold shareholders for that.
Yeah, so the agreement we have with the University of Toronto has two parts. The first part is a research sponsorship agreement. So we've agreed to fund a total of 3 million Canadian dollars over 3 years. It's $1 million worth of sponsorship each year. And we've already funded actually the first year completely. We did that in our private phase, and the work's underway. What that research sponsorship buys us is 100% of the intellectual property rights going forward. So certain background IP, intellectual property, we've secured under the agreement that we need to move forward from here. And then all of the foreground IP is also 100% owned by Delta Gold Technologies. The university gets a small royalty on any revenue, but really the reason the university does it is to further academic research at the university and attract some top postdoctoral fellows to the university, and that's already happening. So the second part of the agreement is the technology licensing agreement, and it spells out that we have a global perpetual license on any developed IP.
And how did you get into this? As in, how did you even know that this was something that you should do? I don't mean this particular thing, but going to the universities, paying for the research, and then obviously receiving the IP.
So I have a weird habit that I read a couple of technical papers a week. Well, sometimes only one a week, but I try and read something technical as an academic paper every week, and I do what the lawyers do. I do circle up due diligence on all the words I don't know. So it helps my learning about science and so on, and I do it really almost as a hobby. And I read some interesting papers about battery technology and the potential use of platinum and palladium. And I eventually got the courage to contact the scientist, and that became Lion Battery Technologies. That became a technology company. So I've done this before. And I read a very interesting paper about gold, and that gold was doing something very strange as a nanoparticle. It was acting as a super catalyst, even more than just the surface area. And so, again, I read the paper very carefully, and I eventually got the courage enough to contact the head of nanotechnology at University of Toronto, and I asked him, why is gold doing this? And he paused for quite a while, actually, and said, I don't know. And he went away for 3 months, and he came back, and I thought he'd actually forgotten about me. And he said, I figured it out. And he said, it's interesting from a catalyst point of view, sure, but it's way more interesting in quantum computing. And that was the beginning of the intellectual property. And I had experience with how universities work on IP because I'd done it before. And actually, my agreement with University of Toronto is very similar to the one I did in the US years previous. So basically, universities are happy to do research if you pay for it, and they're happy to take a royalty on the intellectual property you develop. So it's a very effective way to do some very interesting work. And interestingly, you get a lot of horsepower out of it because I'll give you an example. In my previous battery experience, we had a substance we didn't know what it was on the battery test, and I was actually at the university at the time. And I said, I wonder what that is. And the lead professor said, well, let's go find out. And he took the battery cell, and we walked 5 doors down the hallway to a $25 million electron microprobe, and we stuffed the thing in, and we got the answer. So that really taught me that, you know what, having a whole university infrastructure around your lab is a pretty powerful thing, right? And you know, the universities charge you for that. They charge you for being on campus and using their facilities. But boy, it gives you a lot of horsepower right out of the gate. So, and these postdoctoral fellows that want to join the lead professor, if you got the right lead professor, you get some amazing brain power that want to learn under him. So that's what I've learned.
Yeah. So from that perspective, who can we see is going to be coming on to the team then?
Well, we'll have an announcement about that. I hope, hopefully next week we'll have an announcement about that. But what I can tell you is that you know, these people are top people in the world. I mean, these are not this is not the B team. I can tell you that. And they're actually moving their family from families from around the world to actually join this team. So you'll see that over the next week or so. I think it's really going to raise some eyebrows. And, interestingly, just got the invite to the Global Quantum Computing and Engineering Conference in Bern, Switzerland this summer. And the chair of that conference for the entire world is Harry Ruda, who's our principal investigator. So he is the chair.
You just took my next question there.
Sorry.
but yeah, Harry Ruda is going to be the chairman for the World Quantum Computing. So that says something that if they're going to put him as chair, that he must know something about. He's either a really good social guy or he's very good at quantum computing. What do you think it is?
Well, he's a lovely man, and he actually can tone down the discussion of quantum to a level that we can almost understand. But as most quantum physicists do, after about 4 or 5 sentences, they're gone into a land that's very hard to understand. But
yes.
he does his best to keep it at our level.
From the gold perspective, so people understand it, that the key here is that the gold in some way, and I know you're not going to tell me anymore, the gold in some way allows the qubit to be stable at a normalish temperature. So in other words, not the minus 273 degrees centigrade, which is absolute zero, or
473. But
yeah, but that's Fahrenheit, though. I said
yeah, that's right. So listen, we still have to prove that we can actually put it at a temperature well above absolute zero. The initial experiments will actually be done down at that temperature, just because it eliminates all outside energy influences. So that's still a work in progress, but that's an objective. But we do believe gold has some very special properties and on how it works. And it's fascinating to me that the quantum computing world has a number of companies that have tens of billions of dollars of market cap. And they've been working on quantum computing for quite a long time, for a decade, actually. And yet, those major companies have different ways of making the fundamental element of a quantum computer a qubit. And a qubit is a 0 or a 1. A bit is a 0 or a 1 in a normal computer. In a qubit, it's a 0, a 1, or something in between, and this is the weird part, at the same time. Now, that's hard for us in our regular Newtonian physics world that we live in to understand, but yes, exactly. So
what you're telling me is I could be in Paris at the same time as you could be in Cairo.
Basically, yes, that's exactly right. So we're getting off topic now, but it's kind of fun. So I saw an interview about quantum physics and time. And the physicist had a very interesting way of saying it. He said, you do realize that time is not what you think. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he said, well, time is actually just a convenience for you to understand the world, because actually in physics, there's only now and now. And everything before now is a collection of your memories, which aren't real. And everything in the future is something in your imagination, which isn't real. So we don't actually have time. There's just now, which is a bit of a mind warp. And I think quantum's somewhere in there. It's in there somewhere.
It's now.
It's now. Anyway, now, yeah. So
it's now, okay.
So anyway, I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that the fundamental physics here on how to make this core element of quantum computer is not settled. Even the major companies are pursuing different things. Neutral atoms, ion traps, superconductivity, surficial things, all kinds of different ways, silicon quantum dots. There is a number of ways to, even photons rattling around in a diamond, if you can believe it, are ways of trying to make a qubit that's stable and scalable. And that's the key thing. And so it was very, very confusing to me at the beginning. How could you have companies that have announced innovations in quantum computing with tens of billions of dollars of market cap, and yet we, Delta Gold Technologies, are starting at the beginning, at the very essence of the physics of a qubit. And the thing you have to realize is that the error rate of current quantum computers is something like 0.00001%. which is an error about every 6.5 million times. That sounds pretty good. Your current laptop that we're talking on right now is 1 billion times better than that.
It doesn't actually sound that
We're not
good.
there yet in terms of really harnessing the quantum advantage commercially.
It doesn't actually sound that good, because that, I think you said 6.5 million, was it? An error?
That's right. Yeah.
That is whatever the smallest essence of time is. That is the smallest essence of time that it would actually be in operation, because it's so fast. So basically, it's making probably thousands, if not millions, of errors every second at the minute.
Correct. That's the problem.
So that's the problem. That's why
we're not there yet.
To be solved. And part of that is obviously environmental factors, the heat, the whole situation that's going on with the qubit. But I'm going to take you away from the qubit, because we don't really understand it, and that's all good. But Harry Ruder obviously has managed to put you guys in touch with other people around the world. How do we see Delta Gold growing? I mean, now, the last time I interviewed you, you were at £7.5 million market capitalization. Now you're at £9 million market capitalization. Compared to the rest of the quantum world, this is still silly valuation. I mean, effectively, you're a minor qubit error at the minute, instead of being part of the qubit world. So the scenario in terms of that is, how do you expect that the rest of the quantum world are gonna take a look and go, my goodness, what are those guys doing?
Well, I think first thing is the people. We have some of the top people in the world, and we'll continue to demonstrate that. We'll show that our science team could go to war with anybody. I mean, they're at the top level in the world. I'm certain of that. And you'll see the people that we're attracting, and the next step of growth over the next 3 to 12 months we see is actually creating collaboration. We've had interest now because of Dr. Ruda's position. We've had interest from other top scientists in the world. And normally research science gets done at a university kind of in isolation. We're actually looking to create a collaborative network of the top people in the world. This is a very challenging physics problem that, some people have described quantum as the greatest tool since the invention of fire. I mean, we're that fundamental in what we can do with this. And so we believe putting the top minds together in the world has the greatest chance of success. And we have the advantage that we're starting from the beginning. We can start at the fundamental physics. We've got a great piece of intellectual property to pursue, and we can expand that with a collaboration of some of the top people in the world. And I'm very confident you'll see that over the next 6 months in Delta, that will use the concept of university sponsorship and collaboration to put together a number of the top universities and people in the world to tackle this problem. And I think this is a very unique proposition for investors.
And some of these guys who've got literally budgets of billions to spend, they're going to be looking at you and going, wouldn't mind that, I would imagine.
Well, I thought it was fascinating and quite encouraging when I saw Rigetti. So Rigetti is one of the top quantum companies in the world. They've been working on it for many years. They spend literally billions of dollars a year, and they have about a $17 billion market cap. And they thought it was meaningful to issue a press release that they'd partnered with the University of Chicago. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
so there you go. I mean, that's the horsepower of a top university coming to a problem. That's important for a company of their size. We think if we put together 3 or 4 of those, that's pretty important for a company our size.
Yeah, from what you've said, I'm just gonna spit out what has come into my mind. Is it's almost like I'm going back to the funny comment that we were talking about now. Quantum computing is going to allow us to compute things that would have taken centuries or years or whatever, and we're going to be able to basically compute them now or within a few seconds or a few minutes, or
exactly.
And that ultimately is what quantum computing is all about. It's almost like bringing all the expertise together, and you can do it now, as opposed to having to wait a huge length of time.
Well, there's been a number of experiments that sort of survived the error rate, if you will, where It was a calculation that would have taken literally 1 trillion years done in a few seconds. 1 trillion years. I mean, it's that level of power. It's not 1,000. It's not 10,000 times. It's not 100,000 times. It's not 1,000,000 times more powerful. It's billions of times more powerful. I mean, imagine the power of calculation of your computer now, and multiply that by billions. It's truly transformative technology, right? We transformative technology is when you can't imagine what you can do with it. We can't imagine the uses for it yet. It's so powerful.
If you could plug this
in,
in,
not even in our imagination.
Yeah, if you could plug this into effectively AI in terms of its ability and speed, then AI becomes supercomputer or super intelligence, probably within a year or two.
Well, the whole thing gets quite frightening, to be perfectly honest. And the other one that's interesting is that we do know some of the transformations on existing business and existing methods of doing things. For example, encryption. I mean, the current modern encryption algorithm, a quantum computer can solve that in less than a split second. So all of your banking, all of your information transfer, all of your data storage that's secure, gone. Split second. As soon as the quantum computer attacks it, it can take all of the possibilities and render them and solve it. So this is why HSBC, for example, is researching quantum at great pace because of the hazard to banking and the advantage to be able to create quantum encryption. How do you fight a quantum computer? You give it quantum encryption. So
but I ask you, Michael,
begin to imagine.
Can the quantum computer take the silver that's in your desk or the gold that's in your desk?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, what I mean is we are going to need to hold solid things. You know, we're going to need to in a monetary system that is that susceptible. And I already think we're in that situation where the US dollar is effectively just now printing money. They're going to reduce the interest rates, even though they shouldn't be. They're going to have stagflation for sure. And we're going to have a situation where the US dollar is just plummeting in terms of its buying power, even if in the real world it still stays the same. Then what we really need to do is hold real assets.
Well, the one thing I'll say about that is you don't have to worry about how much gold goes in a quantum computer, by the way. A gram of gold contains 1 billion atoms. So a couple grams will do you here. We don't have to worry about how much gold we need for the computer. We're down to, nanoparticle atom size scale. So that's an advantage of the technology. But it's a very, very exciting time, and we're right on the cutting edge. I mean, we are definitely at the forefront of this business, no doubt about it.
Very good,
Michael. I can see that the way you make money as an operating business is that you or Toronto University, in conjunction with Delta Gold Technologies, creates this IP and then sells it to entities. Who are the types of entities that would actually buy this IP from Delta Technologies?
So you missed a step in there, which is protect it, develop it, and protect it. And the protect it is actually quite an important part. So how you go through the strategy of filing patents, taking a provisional patent to stake out the general idea, and then put pins in the corner of it by using specific patents to defend that more general patent. That's a strategy I've used before and was taught by one of the top patent lawyers in the US. So I know this strategy very well, how to do this. The other thing is, in terms of licensing, I mean, I think it can go anywhere, right? A fundamental qubit is essential to a whole host of players who are working on quantum. I mean, you've got Google, you've got IonQ, you've got Rigetti, you've got Amazon, you've got Microsoft, they're all working on this for billions of dollars a year. And, what if they're going down a dead end hallway and my hallway has an open door at the end? I mean,
well, I was thinking also things like, governments. Imagine,
absolutely,
defense departments trying
completely.
to protect.
I mean, it goes everywhere. Medical modeling, banking, large data. It goes on and on and on. I mean, it touches absolutely everything, right?
So it's private corporations as well as government organisations that could, and
Yeah.
other universities presumably. I mean, some of these universities are cash rich, as we all know.
So yeah, I mean, there's university endowment funds. There's all kinds of different ways this can go. I mean, I think we just have to be opportunistic, right? It's the right partnership, it's the right license, it's the right deal at the right time, and we just need to get our stakes into the corners and get the intellectual property protected. That's important.
Michael, I listened to your interview with Proactive Investors yesterday. Very good. And one of the things that I picked up on is that you are looking to collaborate with other universities. How do you go about protecting Delta Gold's corner when you're collaborating with investors?
That's a very good question, actually, and that's come up, and it's been quite interesting to watch two top global scientists, Professor Ruda and some of the folks we're talking to, talk to each other, because they're talking, first of all, in a language I can't understand, I admit. They're in quantum physics world, but I can tell that they're doing a sort of little dance where they're not telling each other quite what their ideas are, but they're exploring it at the same time. And it is very tricky, exactly as you identified. But it is solvable in that, and we've talked about this actually in detail with one particular physicist, where we essentially have three zones. We have the zone that University of Toronto is working on. We have a zone that is particular to that university and they're pursuing, which we sponsor. And then there's a collaborative zone that has a very specific scope of work that both universities participate in. So you kind of keep your intellectual property separate. They keep theirs. We have deals with both of them to acquire 100% of those two things. And then there's a very specific zone of collaboration, which technically is spelled out, that says this is where we're working together. And obviously you have to get both universities on side of that, because the royalty provision in that zone will be split between the two universities. So that's the model we're using.
Okay.
Each to their own, and a collaborative zone in the middle with a specific, very technical scope of work that the two physicists agree.
So if you have 3 or 4 universities, you're going to have a Venn diagram here of circles, and then a bit in the middle that is going to be like the superstar, the black hole, the place where quantum.
No, they may cross overlap, but we'll see. I mean, I think the first thing is let's get the minds together and get this going. I mean, I've actually used this technique, believe it or not. This whole idea, actually, both on the battery science and this one, comes from an interesting discovery I made in mining. This is going to sound unrelated, but it is related in that I was working in South Africa looking for platinum. And I was working with one of the universities, Witwatersrand University, some of the top people there. And I asked, commercially, has anybody asked the top professors where to go look for new stuff? And to my shock, the top professors in the field said no. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, this is a global commodity. Like, surely the top professors have been asked for their best ideas. And so I went around to 19 of the top professors in the world in that field. Not one of them had been asked. Not one. So every month, I put all 19 scientists in my boardroom to come up with the best ideas they could come up with. And the number 4 idea, after many months, is the biggest discovery I ever made, which is 30 million ounces of platinum. So there's what happens when you put the most powerful minds on the world and just ask them. I mean, it's amazing to me that people think that academia is like over here and commercial world is over there, and nobody asks them. It's mind-boggling. Yeah. And that's where we are in this. It's like I'm happy for the big quantum companies to hire graduates of the top schools. Go ahead, hire them. I'm going to work with their professors.
Michael, what's the royalty that University of Toronto gets from
1.5%?
1.5%. Okay, and then they just get the sponsorship from Delta Gold.
And typically we have a 3-year sponsorship agreement. In the previous example that I've been part of, it went on for 7-8 years, sponsoring every year and continuing to hold the developing IP, and you just keep it going. I mean, if you're developing valuable IP, you just keep going by year, and the university is happy to grow that.
Okay, very good.
So, Michael, what I see is the only way I'm ever going to be in that room is if I invite them all, and that's basically what you've done as well. So it sounds like we're on the precipice of something that, as I've said to you before, if we only have the IP for one doorway to get this a bit further down the line, then this company is worth hundreds of millions, if not billions, as we've had examples of that from Oxford. I forget the name of the company, but yeah.
Oxford Ionics.
Oxford Ionics, okay. So in closing, give us your elevator pitch of why somebody should hold a bit of this stock.
Quantum computing is probably the greatest tool since the invention of fire. And our mission is to put the best minds on developing valuable intellectual property.
Michael, one question that keeps on my mind is that you've chosen Aquis as the exchange to list your shares on. And, Aquis was kind of a little bit of a non-interested exchange for most investors up until April, when the Smarter Web floated and was an outright success, along with a number of other companies. And now all of a sudden Aquis has come alive. And I just wanted to see what your rationale was for coming on the Aquis exchange.
Well, one of our co-founders and director, Jamie Tosh, has direct experience with Aquis and also Aquis, but also he was involved in Smarter Web. So he actually did a lot of the plumbing to put that deal together in terms of the paperwork and filings, and had direct experience with the exchange. So when we worked on our listing, it was really following on that experience. And, I look at their trading platform. I mean, they trade billions of pounds of bonds in Europe on their trading technology. And I think it's a very efficient technology. I've looked at some of the details of how they match bids and offers. And, it's one of the best systems in the world. I think it's a very open, transparent, and fair market the way it trades. So I think the exchange itself has great potential.
Very good. And it's fantastic you have an association with one of the most successful companies on the Aquis exchange. So well done.
Thank you.
Okay, Mike. What is your favorite food of all time?
Roast beef.
That's a Sunday roast question, not a Monday question.
Well, hold on. I'll modify that. Except for breakfast, given that I'm in Paris, I just had one of the best croissants ever. And I have no idea why. And if anybody knows this, they should write in. Why can they only make croissants in France? Why is that?
It's called butter.
They have lots of that.
They have the best butter anywhere in the world. Ultimately. Okay, and the other question is, and you've had this question before, but what is the best piece of advice you've ever received or that you've ever given? Both.
Stay true to who you are.
Okay. And the best piece of advice you've ever given?
Same thing.
Very good. Okay. Well,
why would they ever be different, by the way? That's a very interesting question.
Well, I think on the roast you said don't be a dick or something like that.
Yeah, I probably did.
For the second one, yeah. We can't use different language, but you know what I'm trying to say. Don't be a.
Yeah.
Well, in the broking world, they say don't be a dick for a tick.
For a tick, yeah.
Okay, on that note, Michael Jones, thank you very much for being with us, and wishing you all the very best in the future.
Very, very much appreciate the interview. Thank you.
Okay, what an interview. What a guy Michael Jones is. Very relaxed about it all, and I think he's got another $1 billion idea and $1 billion company on his hands. We recorded that interview on Friday, I think it was, when Delta Gold Technology was around. I think it was 15, 16, 17p. As I record this now, It's 24p to buy. Still only a £13 million market capitalisation. I think it's come to market way too cheap and probably should have been valued more in the range of 30 to 50 million pounds market cap, considering the potential IP it's got and the people who are involved, in terms of Harry, who is the lead guy at Toronto University, and hopefully we're going to get some news this week about the people who are involved. So, what other stocks are on the radar? AJAX is one that I've been looking at. We did an interview last week on the midweek takeaway for that, and with EPO. I think their assets in South America are phenomenal. They've got 10 million ounces of silver. As you know, I'm a big fan of silver after my rant last week. So yeah, I think that's one to watch. £6 million market capitalisation. Got to be worth more than that. The other one have been a big fan of for a long time, even though it's been in the doldrums, is East Star Resources. Alex Walker has pulled an incredible deal out there with the Chinese to maintain 30% free carry on Vacuba, with all the other assets around in that VMS system. Probably more likely to get much more than 30% on those, simply because he's going to have the cash flow to carry himself forward as well. We've got Active Energy, who's come out with the details of what they're doing with their, I suppose, what can we call it, their legacy asset, if you like, which was to do with the coal, replacing coal in terms of energy systems. So they're looking to do something there in Canada. Again, I'm extremely keen on that one. We've got Conroy Gold actually drilling at Clontribra, which is great, and they're going to go deep to see if this system truly is what everybody thinks it might be. If it is, that's going to be an absolute game changer for them. Game changer. Also this morning we had news from Buccaneer Energy. That's been massively oversold. If you want to play that should just go back to where it was after the drilling failure, if you like, then in my eyes, Buccaneer Energy could be an easy 100% play from these extremely low levels. Someone else who had news today was Ethereum, another license in Botswana, adjacent to Sandfire Resources. Ground, it's now got 11 licenses. It's now got that big AI company getting involved with them, LithoSquare, I think they're called, both in their assets in Morocco and Botswana. I think you're going to see the potential for copper, for silver, for gold coming out of Ethereum. Again, 4 million market cap, stupid valuation for, in fact, I think it might be less than 4 million, 3.5 million market capitalization. Again, in my view, way undervalued. And as we go down the line of moving into this resource, the financial systems effectively are quaking. What are we looking at? We're looking at silver, we're looking at gold, we're looking at resources, copper, because all of this technological advances are going to need copper. So it's very strange to see copper and gold both going up at the same time, but it's not really surprising considering what I think is going to happen. I like Charles's article on the silver, gold, platinum situation, that it's almost like a change of guard. It's not that we're not going to use the US dollar, but the US dollar is going to be devalued and continually devalued, just like it was in the 1970s, where we saw huge spikes in gold and silver as monetary, as it's being used as a monetary use. We saw silver hit $64. I think it was close to $64 today as well. Gold's moving back up, 4,300 and something. Will it hit the all-time highs again? I'm pretty sure it is. My prediction for gold and silver next year, I think we'll see $100 plus silver, and we'll see gold maybe even touch $6,000 next year at some point. But let's see. Anyway, we'll leave you with that. And as Graham normally says, but I have to say it today, best wishes, Graham, and to your mother. Mum's the word.
This podcast was brought to you by Monday Upbeat Markets. If you would like to appear on a future episode of the Mums Podcast, please email mondayupbeatmarkets@gmail.com.